President Harris, good to see you, sir. How are you, President?
Good, how are you?
It would afford you guys a relationship with. Thank you, sir.
Mickey, how are you?
Mickey, you
Yeah,
said.
what's up with you, brother? Let me get an agenda too.
No, I never took part in it.
Good, good.
We live.
Elizabeth won't be here, she has the flu.
Oh, my goodness. We have family. They ain't gonna be here that long. But they usually get, they don't be dragging stuff out though. For sure, what you think?
And then make sure that, we're starting out hard, so, we don't want you guys to recreate the wheel, you know what I'm saying? So, another thing I know, started the day conversation about, so I don't know if you know what I'm doing. He was formerly recreation outside, okay. Yeah, so he was,
That's long.
also director, back when actual
Cause I helped out the third.
now he's out freelancing.
That line was from.
We're gonna be working with him and around, like a pop, just doing some consultation. He's kind of, so we definitely want to have conversation with him.
And the number one thing I've heard is people were saying, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Going on in
No, the food stamps have already been cut. Oh, yeah. This girl was getting $600 in food stamps. She's got 5 people living in her house, 2 kids, and she's pregnant. And so they go to food stamp, and so she's her husband, her father-in-law, her father, and then the 2 kids. So there's 7 people in the house. They cut her food stamps from $600 to $90.
But you know that's gonna happen though. No, America gotta make a cut. They said, but they gotta make a cut.
Snap is $6 right now.
But y'all do know they was gonna have to start making cuts, right?
Hello?
So we went 39 trillion in the hole.
Yeah, not with food benefits.
It ain't, but I'm just saying this going. When you see how we've been spending money, really what you're seeing is the decline. I know a lot of people don't want to admit it. You're just seeing the decline of the empire. They have to make their cuts. They're gonna have to make them. But usually, what do you think the rich make cuts at on the poor? They ain't gonna make cuts on them.
No, just like honestly, we spend more money on our military. We spend more money on the military than we do anything else. Truth be told, if we just took 6% of the military budget.
Or cut it in half.
No, you can't cut it in half.
Do you know our military budget is probably, I think it's more than what?
Just like
top
two.
Like, I mean, if you gotta add Russia and China in there, we spending way more than them to combine together.
But you can't cut the budget in half because when you look at it, we've gotta have a standing army to face off against what, 2.5 million soldiers that China got.
But do you, I'm saying, but check this out.
And then and then technically, the Korean War has never ended.
And we didn't win it.
Well, Korea, it just stalled out. So we're still in a state of war. It's just the troops.
But how many wars you gonna keep fighting? A lot of people still fatigued from Vietnam.
That too.
See, well, that's what I just said. Never won.
No, never once, but you know, my thing is, if you take just 6% of the military budget, and if you put it in Medicare and Medicaid, like it should, and if you would put it into, with food stamps and things like that, you can increase food stamps to like $12 to $15 a day, which would benefit everybody. Then, if you give more money to Medicare and Medicaid, they're in a much better position to bargain for and lower their drug costs altogether.
Yeah, but you know how that game is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you gotta look at that and the pharmacy industry and the insurance industry, you know, them lobbyists. So they love them to go, cause you know, Medicare, they can charge anything. You know what I'm saying? Insurance to charge Medicare anything for their medicine. Well, it shouldn't be that high. That's just like the oil industry, how they was making their money. Like each industry got their own lobbyists. So when you battle in that, man, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have problems. Until you can take the greed out of it, that's just like the GM can take their plants overseas, make them cheap, and still come back here and charge high. And look where all that profit is. See, that's the thing, when you kind of get that out the way, you know what I'm saying? Because just think about it. When our parents was in the shop, they was making, what, $30, $40 an hour. Look, compared to what they doing now. Cost of living go up, but if they did it right, you'd do a livable wage. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I agree with you, but that's just like I was telling somebody, I said, look, we're making this argument, and I said, okay. So if you want to go back, let's go back to the 70s. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. All right, let's say you're working on the line at GM. I was making good money. How much were you making? Some folks were making 60 grand in the 70s.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, if your cost of living was only $25,000, you were able to buy the car. You were able to do all that you wanted to do. But like, I agree with you. As time went on, stuff got expensive, and it didn't keep the status quo. You know,
Yeah.
you were making more money than your house was worth.
Oh, you can just go spend $200 back in the 90s for groceries.
Yeah.
Spend
3
$200.
grocery carts.
Yeah, spend $200 now. If you get about 5 or 6, if you get 5
You
items.
get about 15 to 20 items at that, depending on what you get.
That's what I was gonna say, depending on what you get. 'Cause that
Because if
can
you
go.
go to Sam's,
That's what I was gonna say.
you go to Sam's, you ain't getting nothing.
That's why I said maybe 5 to 6 items. 5 to 6 items. It's gonna get worse before it get better. I do believe that. But I just think what has happened, almost what they say, $39 trillion in debt. You can't keep printing money and not, like, you will cause the stock market. I mean, the market gonna crash eventually. I think we just on borrowed time. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand where you're coming from, and here's the other deal. The other deal is this.
Not deep,
When you look at what we put out as far as our expenditures and things of that nature, I agree. It costs.
Yeah.
It does, and so, but this is what's funny. They say, okay, well, we're gonna cut $650 billion out of the budget.
Yeah.
And over 10 or 15 years, that's gonna save us enough money to pull us out of debt. But then you cancel all of that when you issue tax cuts.
Right. Yeah.
So when the tax cuts, that's it.
But they never changed it. But you know what I'm saying? We gotta understand, when you got billionaires, rich people saying it, like, if I'm worth millions, don't you know I want to pay less taxes too? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just,
I know you do.
Yeah.
I would too. But then the thing about it is, it's when you're,
Somebody brought this to my office, and I ain't gonna eat them, so I have no
okay,
idea.
I get it. 5% on $30,000 ain't a lot of money.
it ain't.
But 5%, on, if my company, if I made $6 billion, 5% of 6 billion,
Yeah.
yeah, that's still $3 billion in taxes you should be able to pay. I mean,
Yeah, cause do you understand?
well, not billion, forget it, what?
Millions and stuff, but that's still like if you got General Motors, Nike got companies.
300 million.
Yeah, you got Nike, General Motors, got companies overseas. Don't you know they're not paying taxes?
Oh,
on
no,
that?
they're not.
That's
And
what
they're
I'm
getting
saying.
tax
Yeah.
breaks from the other countries, they're getting tax breaks from other countries.
And you can't. I mean, I understand it, but it's just that's the way the world is. America's a capitalistic country, but eventually you have to check spending.
You know,
You know
I
what I'm
agree.
saying?
Spending should be checked. And I think that's the largest issue,
Yeah.
is trying to get a hold of how much we're going to spend.
Yeah.
And,
When's our last meeting, was it January 23rd?
You gotta check this. Eventually, you're gonna have to check the credit card, man. You're gonna have to check it like anything. You got to handle it because, and it's just messed up. It's just messed up. Whoever was gonna be in was gonna have to fight a battle as far as getting it. 'Cause you can't keep 39 million, I think 39 trillion in debt. Eventually, you're gonna collapse this thing. You know what I'm saying?
no, I don't, eventually,
Our last meeting
on the 11th.
the 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it was the 23rd.
Just gotta, whatever you believe in, get to it. What we had discussing of policy.
Not yet.
Somebody get minutes, I don't have any minutes from the list. Was I here?
Oh, you was here, you took minutes. You remember we voted? Voted for office. Was it at that meeting we voted for office?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because we didn't get a chance to do it in January.
None?
Because Brian wasn't at the last meeting, was he?
No, he wasn't at the last.
All right. All right.
Good evening, 810 staff.
Good evening, the beautiful Linda Booth.
Good evening.
Oh, beautiful you are, beautiful you are, beautiful you are.
When somebody puts a compliment.
You
say thank you.
Right.
You know, right. It's a poor dog that don't wag his own tail, it's a poor frog that don't praise his own pond.
For sure, for sure.
Hey, I'm in a meeting, what's up?
Listen,
Where you at?
what really scares me the most
Okay.
is how you're supposed to have checks and balances.
Yeah.
And the one that's supposed to be doing the checking ain't checking.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. That's just like with the FBI when they talk about J. Edgar Hoover. Look how he did
Yeah,
King.
you have to let me know about.
Go look how Mega was done. Go look back, you got it. So, like I said, I get it on some of the things that they saying, like, but I know the system is not gonna allow him to do everything he wanna do.
No, that's why you
You know what
got,
I'm saying?
that's why you got the courts.
Yeah,
You know, the
yeah.
politicians don't want to
Yeah.
stop on the courts reach out and say, yeah, no, you can't do this.
You know, he do a lot of gotcha moments when he said he was gonna drop the Epstein Wilson names. You know why he wasn't gonna drop it? Because so many people was probably gonna be in it. When he say, nah, they pulling back, we're gonna put out the Kennedy Wilson names. Most of the people that was probably involved in that no longer here with us.
Right.
So the nation gonna be like this, man. Listen, we're gonna put the King stuff out there. It's just like have people wait. We gonna do this. No, they know they not. Ain't nobody gonna want to show.
So this is their thinking on it.
Yeah, so,
I technically want every generation that was involved in that
Yeah,
to be gone
yeah.
before we release what happens. Because we don't know the backlash or the public outcry. Because you and I both know that magic bullet theory with JFK don't hold water. How's a bullet gonna go through his neck then go through his leg, then go through the governor, out the governor, ricochet back out, and then pop him in the forehead.
Lord Jesus.
We all, it was like, they shot him they missed him from the back of the head, which was when they hit him in the throat. The other shot missed and hit the governor. It wasn't until he took that shot in the forehead and it blew the back of his brain out that it killed him.
Yeah, I see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I don't go with that long. That how you believe in anything, that long wolf theory.
Right. He wouldn't have known. How can a man, so, and then they're not looking at simple dynamics. You're not looking at the simple fact that a car is traveling at 30 miles an hour or either 20 miles an hour. And you mean to tell me the man, when he fires the first shot, the car, and he misses, he has to adjust for the same speed in a different angle. So how are you able to get off 4 to 5 shots unless you're just a trained sniper? And we all know the man wasn't no trained sniper.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it's so cold-blooded about. That's why I'm looking at it like, you gotta look at it, you can't, but it ain't the first one. And Abraham Lincoln was the first one that got assassinated. You know what I'm saying? If you go back, it's president before him. I just look at it like this. You challenge this system, you go to keep playing. And then you see what this system, like what people saying now with Trump, he's able to do this and that. I think the system is working because it allowed this. What you mean ain't no checks and balances? It's impossible. You're supposed to always have something for the unknown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was supposed to be for the unknown. Who would have knew this Congress would give him a blank check with they give him a blank check.
Well, we
yeah. Gonna give him power where he can go do all of this and that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's when you have that.
Lisa, you know, she said they give a fire. I know.
Yeah. Not your first meeting as the president, you ain't gonna have.
No.
Huh?
He know he do.
Oh.
You can only have the yellow.
We go get some more.
Is it lemon?
I don't know, it look like it, but I don't know.
Nah, the lemon, yeah, it's lemon, because I get them from Sam's too.
Okay.
That's cold blooded. We didn't get off of them.
Thank you.
Talk about it tomorrow.
Need a cup of coffee to go.
Yeah, that's done.
Lord have mercy.
I'm ready for March Madness to come on.
Where is it this year?
I'm not for
Where
sure.
you gonna put the Final Four at?
I'm not for sure. I gotta go find that where they gonna play that. My boy's in the tournament. I mean, gonna make it to the tournament. I don't know how much noise we gonna make, but
So-
we in there.
When's this? Central caught on fire?
Yeah.
This week.
Today.
Mr.
Heavy smoke was seen coming out of, the building.
Didn't they just decide to rehab?
Yeah, they just decided.
But they said they was gonna demo it though.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's my understanding.
Yeah, so.
The horses set on fire.
They speeding up the process.
Trying to speed up.
Well, they're gonna demo it, and
Today?
they decide they're gonna rehab it.
Yes.
When that happened?
Aren't you subscribed to 18?
Nope.
So you're not subscribed to
Nope.
18?
I'll see it.
Yeah, I am, but I've been in, this is about the 4th meeting today.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I mean, we're
And
not.
I'm calling residents, you know, that's why
I don't think we.
I'm hoping they select a,
Told.
council person,
Right.
because it's taxing.
I believe.
Truth be told, we
Well, that's right, you are ambassador
We
to
talked
the
to
third
people all
ward.
day.
She's ambassador.
She messaged me today, I said, I didn't post them and everything else, so yeah.
What I really want to see, is they gonna really be able to bring that many kids back into the school system.
Well,
That's
there's
what I
a
want to
strategy, we
see.
have to promote it, but we have to offer them something first.
Yeah.
You know,
Education.
we have newly renovated buildings, nobody's seen, been into.
Nobody care about no new buildings when them kids can't read.
Yeah, that's true.
But then you can't do
There-
it.
There's a story behind that too. We got partners that have worked with the teachers and stuff. And I really do think it falls in the classroom and home.
It
The
can be
reason,
both.
and home, because kids gotta have homework. They try to do all the homework in class. They just be getting it done.
Yeah, but we got a lot of broken homes nowadays.
That's true. But they gotta offer it to the ones who willing to do homework. 'Cause they putting them all at the same level.
If I may, Carmen was the first one to experiment with it, because when I graduated, we hardly took any homework. And you talking about I came out of class of '04, so I hardly had any homework. Why? Carmen understood that you got a lot of, again, broken homes. You got a lot of kids who are taking care of other siblings. And so as far as them trying to be able to do massive amounts of homework, and there's no food, mom's working a second job, and they have to look after everybody. So they were the first ones to actually pull back on the amount of homework. Because I hardly ever brought home. I'm not lying, I
But
hardly
then
ever
if
brought
you
home
working
homework.
in class, you should know that this child can't read. If you're like, okay, so let's say you didn't have any homework. When we doing something in class and it's your turn, and you can't read that sentence, that should be a light bulb.
Oh, I agree.
Cause they don't get, cause I was a teacher, we can start, but I'll talk to you about that. I'm gonna talk to you about that, cause it's serious. And the graduation rate.
Did you get this one? That's just a class.
Our kids need a lot
All
of
right. It is 5:50, and I am calling this meeting of the Ethics and Accountability Board to order. Somebody pass me the agenda, please. Okay. All right. Dudes, if you could, can we get a roll call, please?
Okay. Billy Dancer. Licia Williams.
Here.
Joe Williams.
Present.
Patrick.
Go ahead.
Michelle.
Present.
I'm here. So we have,
Brian Larkin.
Brian Larkin. We have Brian Larkin absent and also Billy Dancer.
And what's your name?
Linda Bruce. I'm here.
So, according to rules and statutes, 6 constitutes a quorum, we do have a quorum. All right, would, on the next agenda item, would anybody like to offer a prayer? Dear kind Lord, we thank you for gathering us here and gathering your people here so that we can do the business that is set before us. Lord, give us clarity, give us peace of mind, and give us peace of thought as we execute the will to do what's better for the city of Flint. We thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Anybody from the public that would like to speak? Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak? Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak? Seeing as that, we have nobody from the public that's here, we would normally go on to EAB members' responses, but since we don't have any public speaking, let us go down to item 6, which is opening remarks. This is my first opening remarks as chairman of the Ethics and Accountability Board. And before I go further, I want to say thank you to Mr. King for leading this ship since 2022.
Wow.
For 2 years, he's been our chairman, and I just really want to thank him for his wisdom and for his knowledge and for his insight and how he has conducted himself respectably. And so thank you, Mr. King, for your hard work. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your dedication. I just want to to say that I'm honored to be your chairman. I promise not to let you down. I promise to faithfully execute this office to the best of my ability. I promise not to embarrass you or to say anything that would cause you all to be ashamed. I promise to uphold the standards that this board has come to rely upon. And I promise to hold those that need to be held accountable to be held accountable. Whether that's city administration, whether that's the department heads, or whether that's city council. Whomever needs to be held accountable within our power that can be held accountable, I will see that we do our due diligence in trying to hold them accountable. I'm also gonna do the due diligence so we can try to get an ombudsperson, because this city needs one. Mr. King has led that effort for a while, and we're still continuing on that, but hopefully I'm going to see that we try to get that done within the next few fleeting moments. So that's it from me as remarks. Let's move on to item number 7, review, change, or approve the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda.
All right, it has been moved and properly supported for the approval of the agenda. I will know it by the ayes.
Call for the vote.
I'm calling for the vote.
Aye.
Any nay? See, as there are none, the agenda passes as is. Line item 8, review and approval of the minutes.
So, Mr. Chair, I took minutes at our last meeting, and I took them on my laptop and not my iPad. And I do not have my laptop with me, so I would ask that we table the approval and acceptance of those minutes until our next meeting.
Okay. So, we will table line item 7, review and approval of our minutes for our next business meeting, which should be on the second Tuesday of March. That would be on the 11th.
Right.
So we'll be tabling line item number 7 to our next business meeting on the 11th. All right. Let us go to item number 9, dealing with old business. First up is the discussion, adoption of policies and procedures for the Ethics and Accountability Board. And the first one that we have is the 3-page one. And it's the one that says Ethics and Accountability Board Processes and Procedures. Report of the Governance Committee to the Ethics and Accountability Board. Policies and procedures of the Ethics and Accountability Board, and this is preamble.
You have another one? Alicia doesn't have one.
Yes, I do. No problem. I do. That's it. It's just the preamble, I'll just read it. The Ethics and Accountability Board, the board is governed in accordance with the Clinton City Charter. The charter, in any instance where these policies and procedures conflict with the charter shall prevail. So I do know that we emailed these out for everybody to try to go through and look at them and to see what needs to be, what needs to be added, what might need to be taken away, or if they're good as stands. And so I open it up for discussion.
I'd like to discuss line item 1.5, additional for positions. The board may create or remove additional positions as necessary. Can you kind of elaborate on?
So when I first came on, the board didn't have a secretary position. And so we needed a secretary position, so what the board did is the board created, through vote, the office of the secretary for the board. And so, and what happened is Ms. Little was operating as the interim ombudsperson at that time, and the board didn't have a secretary. So we voted, and we created that office. And so that's where that comes from. The board may create or remove any additional positions as necessary.
Okay, thank you.
secretary on this board?
Um,
From that duties,
well, it's,
what you think?
well, it's under 1.5?
Under 1.5.
Well, it's there at 1.4, election of officers. The board shall elect the chair, vice chair, and secretary annually in its first meeting of the calendar year. So we included that at 1.4.
That's good.
You included it, but you did not spell out the duties of the
Yeah,
secretary.
No, I didn't.
So,
Yeah, that was what I was mentioning.
Ah, gotcha.
basically.
So will that go on a different, like duties and responsibilities, will that go on a different category? As we go more into detail of each position?
You know what, it would, and we can do that. That wouldn't be a problem to add, if you wanna add duties and responsibilities of the officers. So what
Yeah.
the chairman does, the vice chairman is responsible for,
Right.
the secretary is responsible for, things of that nature. I don't have a problem with that.
well, you only need to add secretary. You already have duties of chair and duties of vice chair.
Okay.
And usually the chair is the spokesperson for the group, for the media. We established that years ago.
Mhm.
So we won't have everybody go to the media saying different things.
Gotcha.
We had that issue when we first started out in the beginning, as Mr. King, can remember. We had to designate the president, the chair. If the chair couldn't do it, the vice chair would talk to the media. And listen, they assign one of us to do so. Okay, so you the chair, Trishelle is the vice chair.
So can we just add the duties of the secretary as like a 1.4A, so that it doesn't throw off your current numbering system?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And what would be those duties?
If you had any contact the
We'll
members,
open up to the board.
email the members about this meeting, and you wanted me to let them know that one, Tuesday was canceled, this past Tuesday was canceled, and that's basically it.
So the duties of the secretary are to correspond with various board members, upkeeping of minutes, making sure that, the agendas, if anybody wants to add to the agenda, things of that nature, call the board members. I'll tell you the duty of the secretary we can add. And in case the absence of the chair or the vice chair and quorum is still there, the secretary can step in during the board meeting as acting chair.
If we have a quorum.
If we have quorum.
Was that balance?
I never had a protocol where the secretary ran the meeting, but I mean, if you created in your bylaws, then I guess that's a rule.
Well, I think what would happen is if the secretary becomes the acting chair at that time, then the board would have to elect a temporary secretary just to be open the meeting. The only reason why I brought it up is because I was just looking at a contingency. Because normally, even if the chair or the vice chair is absent and a meeting is called and there is quorum, per Robert's Rules of Order, the board would then decide who would chair,
Oh,
who
that
would
means.
chair that meeting.
We created the bylaws,
Yeah.
the rules, so it can be created.
In terms of number of members, how many we're missing? How many wards are we
3 or
missing?
4.
We're missing,
We have,
We got 7.
yeah,
there's 9 wards, and plus the mayor have 2 appointees.
so his Mr. Larkin is not here, and Trishelle are his appointees.
Okay,
So we're missing Ward 4,
okay,
we're missing Ward 9, and we're missing Ward 7.
that's 3 right there.
Right, so we're missing 3 wards. Seventh Ward usually has been consistent. Ninth Ward, we haven't had one since Paige resigned from the board. Seventh Ward, same thing, due to resignation. Fourth Ward, as long as I've been on the board, I don't even know if Fourth Ward ever had a representative to the board
Have you been to?
I haven't been one last 4 years.
in the last 4 years.
Wow.
That's one that was.
And again, that's misrepresentation. That's just like, you know, the third ward council person, we're not having a council person. You know, we don't have people at the table. They're from the wards. And people don't understand how important that is.
I agree. And we've sent correspondence, I know Ms. Lewis sent correspondence asking them to appoint a fourth ward person, a seventh ward person, a ninth ward person. They haven't, for whatever reason, they have not. Joe, question. Does the charter say that the board, that each ward has to fill the seat on the Ethics and Accountability Board when it comes empty? Or is it at their leisure?
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's part of the charter.
It's part of the charter.
We have to follow the charter, just like council has to follow the charter, mayor, everybody has to follow what's in the charter.
So,
Remember, I agreed to that policy because of that reason. Some people don't want to appoint no one, so I said we need to have that policy. Because if we don't, they're gonna continue not to appoint anyone.
Well, I can remember, that's 2 years ago, Ms. Priestley said she couldn't find anyone that would accept appointment to the board. And that could go on with a lot of things, that a lot of people, because of what's going on in the city, a lot of people not gonna, they just don't volunteer for something. A special board like this, that, where you at, you don't get paid for it.
true. Okay. So, yeah, it's an 11-member board. And we should have 11 members.
We should.
So, we can do that further on discussion when we go to, we can deal with that in new business on how we want to handle that one. Is there anything else that we need to add to the policies and procedures that you all think that we need?
7.0, removal of board members. It discusses grounds and consideration and notice, but one of the issues that was raised previously is whether we have the authority to remove a board member. This doesn't really address that. So when you talk about removal of a board member, are we just do we vote and make a recommendation to council to remove, or is this implying that we have the authority to remove the board member?
Well, the only thing that gives proven grounds for removal is if the board member has missed 3 consecutive meetings without giving any reason. And that was submitted by that was voted on by city charter in the city council in the resolution. So that's what causes for the removal, and that's what it is. So according to resolution passed by city council, any board members who have missed 3 consecutive meetings without good written cause or grossly failed to perform duties shall be removed. Consideration of removal, the board shall discuss the matter at the next regular meeting. The chair shall contact the member before a vote is taken. Notice of absence, member must notify the chair and secretary at least 48 hours before an expected absence. So what the removal is it's only going, it's not our removal, it's automatically what was written. I'm not saying that we can call for a vote or anything. It's that stipulation was already in the rules that city council passed.
council rules?
It's not in the council rules.
It's, where is that?
This statement is a bit fragmented, but I
It
can
is,
interpret the core message. based
Where,
on
where
the
did you say they
context.
passed it, a resolution or what?
It's
It's written in the,
it's written in a resolution that they passed.
Do we have a copy of that resolution? Because I'm still confused as to whether or not you're saying it's a automatic, they're automatically off after 3 unexcused absences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doesn't the board need to make a finding
that's where,
that this particular member has 3 unexcused? Do they have to be consecutive, or can it just be any 3 meetings out of a year?
From what I-
3 consecutive.
From what I read, it was 3. I
in a row.
don't, forgive me, I don't have that paperwork with me, but I have read it. And it's 3 consecutive meetings in a row, because of the,
But then they're automatically, or is there something the board needs to do? That's what I'm asking.
so the, once we recognize that it's been violated, that rule, then we make a motion to vote that person off of the board because of the absence.
Right, but does that go to city council, or is that vote the end all be all?
that's,
Cause I don't ever remember a resolution like that being
Yeah, I've never
passed.
seen it.
We,
But here's what I tell you, here's the charter
voted.
say, section
We
3,
did
section 3-502 BC. Remember, the Ethics and Accountability Board is subject to removal cause. That's the charter. So, reading something else in there that have some, legal, to do that.
but that,
You would be violating the charter.
three.
34.
He's on the chart. He's in the chart.
In the chart.
That's the charter.
I mean, I guess if you had the resolution that you're referring to, I'd
Yeah.
feel a little more comfortable,
no,
but
I agree.
there's no resolution number, there's nothing cited, it's like a stab in the dark to me.
It's in, when I read it, it's in the actual bylaws. It's in the bylaws of the board.
Council?
No,
Oh, the EAB?
Yeah, it's in, that provision is written in the bylaws of the board. So this is just policy, and all this is just policy and procedure. What 7.0 is just referring to that issue that's in the bylaws that states 3 consecutive, meetings missed without notification. The board member is, removed.
then we do vendor,
We removed 1 person.
No, several.
Well, yeah,
vendor,
I do.
6th ward.
Linda was removed from the Hawkins, was removed
Remove
from.
how'd y'all do it?
They didn't show
Oh,
up.
they resigned.
Yeah, they just didn't tell us.
Yeah, they resigned from the board. We never removed them.
We voted to though.
Well, that was because,
It was official.
no, I'm going through what was that process. 'Cause I remember Hawkinson a letter.
Right, he sent the letter.
He sent a
We
letter.
voted to accept his letter of
Since
resignation.
they
One
recognition.
person didn't send a letter. I remember that.
Was that the tall guy, old guy?
Who was that?
He was a preacher or something.
First one to
Oh,
leave,
that's what it
Inga,
said.
the attorney we had, Inga was the first to
He
leave.
served on another board, the council.
Right. And that was-
One of
But
them.
I don't remember the board actually voted. We voted to accept the resignation letter. That's what we voted on.
So, Mr. Chair, through you to Joe, what's the position of legal? Does this board have the ability to remove, or is that a council authority?
See, I thought when we looked at this a year and a half ago, we had come to the conclusion at that point that the Ethics and Accountability Board itself does not have the power to remove one of its members. It has the power to recommend to council the removal of a member, that being good cause, and then it's up to city council as the appointing authority to actually do the removal by resolution for good cause shown.
So.
So the 3 absences mean we need to make a finding that amounts to 4 calls, basically, in our.
That's an
Yeah,
option.
and then make a recommendation to council.
Correct.
They made it something that was a bylaw, it was a procedure, not a board, that was put in, operating procedure, that was dead, and your interpretation was different, because interpretation then was given by, the attorney general.
Mr.
Oh,
Cannon.
Kim.
Kim, he was acting in, and he was, as we were putting that together, we didn't, that we could do procedure, operate this board, and that was one of the things that was put in there. It wasn't something that was did by the council, because we didn't want to take it to the council. And his interpretation there was that the board had the right to govern itself. That was sort of thing.
To remove?
That was part of the thing we put in there.
Do we have that in writing?
I was just gonna read from it.
I have some of those old, things that the original board put together. I don't have them. I'm sure I don't have them with me.
Right, I'm just gonna come out of this charter, and it's like very vague right here on page 34, where it says members of the Ethic and Accountability Board are subject to removal for cause. Period.
Never say.
And then it didn't go into detail, so that's an area where an amendment can happen, and then we put in, like, what are the clauses that you're talking about?
You can't get that nigga.
I mean, but it could,
Well, I think we can define.
yeah, we could
for
define, and
cause.
then submit it to whoever, if it's gotta go before the council. We can't just say cause,
Yeah.
cause what?
Because, yeah.
It's just us, it's undocumented, cause not everybody's guessing what that power is. We don't have the clarification of what power we have within that.
I do have a copy, not with me, of the old, procedure we put in place governing all that. I don't have it with me now.
I didn't see anything in the bylaws
But
about it.
I could read something.
Stay.
In fact, I had it up, I believe I had it up on the video. But why don't we,
We can,
that was the ordinance, right? That was a different one. You look at ordinance,
Mhm.
bigger than our ordinance. It was in procedure that, operating procedure.
it might not be in the, I guess that must have, thank you, Jim. I guess that then was, cause I remember reading it, and I just thought that was, I thought it was a part of, because that's what we've done, and I know I read it, so.
It was in the procedure.
Okay, we can address that, and,
Because it doesn't line up with the charter, this, you know.
Right.
To add something to clarity.
it's not a problem, we can get this one, so for now, we can just,
You have another set of rules somewhere.
there is another set of rules somewhere, yes.
Now, I remember is talking about running for office, working on someone's campaign. While I was on this board.
And those were adopted in 2019, yes.
So whatever those
No
rules
more
are,
procedures, yeah.
then that's what,
Put that
that's what it's
together
written.
like
That's where it's written, the written procedures.
I got it, but I'm not gonna look at that.
No, I got you.
Everybody has.
That's not a problem, we can just find that, we can come back to item, we'll come back to item 7, I won't be a problem. Anything else that anybody sees,
Yeah,
and that still needs to be fine too?
yeah. I was looking at, I think we need to put that different 713 that absent. Because, a lot of things that's gonna be, for some board members, go to line 48 hours. It's just gonna have to, put that, it's 48 hours.
I can
Because, had it something about these board members, and a lot of times they cannot even do it until it's before board meeting. I wouldn't think you wanna put that,
Well, you can put it, and with the provision unless otherwise, authorized. So it's not such a hard and fast rule, but it can be the standard. You know, like if you know you're not gonna be here, let others know, because if we're not gonna have a quorum and we can't transact business, we don't wanna waste people's time. So I think 48 hours should be the standard, but I don't think it should be a hard and fast, because if something comes up at the last minute, like Mr. King is saying, you know, and it's excusable and you can't, you know, avoid it, you gotta take care of your business or your family, that should be excusable. But that should be at the discretion of the chair,
Okay,
in my opinion.
okay, that's good, okay. Anything else that anybody else sees?
For the most part, this is very good.
Okay.
I really tried to comment, but, you know, I did have questions when I saw the, 7.0 removal of board members.
Well, my last, provision that I have a question about is 9.1, public representation. I think it should be clear in here that the chair is the only authorized person to speak on behalf of the board unless otherwise designated.
And it's been the chair and the vice chair. That's the
Well-
case.
Well, he would designate the
Oh,
vice
he
chair.
would, okay,
Yeah,
got you.
so.
I got you.
So just to let you know,
Uh-huh.
if I ever spoke, just to let everybody know, when I spoke before council, I didn't do it without getting the approval from the chair.
Okay.
The chair has to grant, even though when I was serving as vice chair, I always went before the chair and asked, do I have permission? What do you think? What should I do? And the chair would say, yes, you can go ahead and you can address council on our behalf. So I always ask the chair. So I get you. We can modify that.
And I'm okay with what you have, but I think you should add that the chair has the responsibility to represent the views of the board in any public setting.
Especially with that media.
Media, council, you know,
Council,
wherever,
yeah.
administration. But that's all I have.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I do have more info on the removal of members, and this is what my opinion is based on. 3502C says members of the Ethics and Accountability Board are subject to removal for cause. I think that needs to be read in conjunction with 1603A, which says, except for the ombudsperson who serves at the will of the EAB and the city attorney, the city council shall declare the forfeiture of the office of any elective officer or appointee and may remove for cause any person appointed to an office for a fixed term. So I think if you read both of those in conjunction with each other, that supports my position that the EAB does not have the authority to remove members on its own.
Okay.
It can make the recommendation to city council, but it's clear from that other city council or other charter section that it's the city council that has the sole power to remove for cause.
Would the board have the ability to suspend a member pending removal?
Oh, what about even censor, maybe?
Well, surely we can censor,
Okay.
but suspended is taking away a person's ability to serve.
I don't know, I hadn't really considered that. The problem is you have to, when does a suspension become a de facto removal though? So I guess I need to think about that some more.
When you say that, Joe?
It's 1603A. And this came up in the context, there was a removal resolution that was considered and ultimately passed by city council for one of the EAB members. And I remember that's where this issue came up the first time.
Okay, you said that was 160,
1603A.
okay. Okay,
I'm also the timekeeper.
okay.
It's 6:25.
I got you. All right, so, let's do this. Let us table, let's table agenda item. We'll table agenda item number 1 under old business. For the next business meeting, we'll draft up, we'll make all the corrections that need to be made, and then we'll represent it back to the board with all the corrections that are made.
Okay.
Discussion number 2, discussion and adoption of policies and procedures for the Ombudsman's office.
Is that just rules of
We got the
Ombudsman?
rules.
That's the rules of Ombudsman, and that was submitted by, our own board member, Patrick Jr.
The birthday.
My birthday boy.
Today's birthday. Oh. Thank you.
So what say these?
I read them, I read them. For me, I didn't have any problems with it.
Do you think it addressed all the, most of the things that need to be addressed for the functionality of the office?
No, I agree. Deadline for responses shall be established by the Ombudsman. Failure to meet the deadline established for response by the Ombudsman may be deemed as evidence of obstruction. Yeah?
I think
No,
it's
it's,
a 90-day period, right?
and it's clear cut and dry.
Is it a copy something for the public?
I hadn't made anything for the public yet, just for the simple fact that we hadn't adopted it as of yet. Once we adopt it and everything has been corrected, then we'll give it out and disseminate it amongst the public. And we'll make sure that the public will have those rules for the Ombudsman and then all policies and procedures.
So, question about Rule 14. The Ombudsman shall establish an advisory board of his or her selection. The term shall,
That's not necessary.
which you mean shall means that it is necessary.
Right, but I mean, this is just a draft to, you know, we don't have to.
So should it say may?
May, yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, just a side point to a comment made from the public. Just so we're on the same page, because the Ethics and Accountability Board is a multiple member body under the charter, any rules that are I'm gonna say tentatively adopted by the Ethics Accountability Board do have to be noticed and go for public hearing.
Okay,
So the public can, that's really their opportunity to comment on the proposed or whatever we're calling them rules. So
Okay.
just a heads up.
okay, so, thank you. Okay, so now that we know that, so then once we decide that everything is okay, once we make the modifications in both of these drafts, then what we will do is we'll present it at the next meeting for a public hearing for the public to go through them, to read them, to voice their opinions and things of that nature. And we will do that at the next meeting.
How many readings do we have?
Well, what I recommend is that the Ethics Accountability Board develop a final version of the rules that they're fine with. They vote to approve those and send those through the rule-making process. So the charter, it's under 1801, and essentially there has to be a public notice of the hearing at least 2 weeks in advance. The public notice of the hearing has certain requirements. At least 2 weeks prior to the public hearing, they have to be placed on file with the city clerk, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll do just that. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Well, so another thing under Rule 4, it talks about when a person is required to give testimony under oath, they shall be informed in advance. I also think that they're entitled to representation. That needs to be added in there, that they have a right to have representation. Because any sworn testimony can be used against them in later proceedings. So if there's, they're at risk of losing their job or, some kind of drastic action, they should have the benefit of counsel.
Okay.
And you say add that?
Yeah,
Will that be like?
that's gonna be, we can add that into 4D. No, we can just add that into 4D.
Oh, add
Right.
it into 4D.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same paragraph.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sorry,
No,
another point. Just as the policies and procedures of the EAB have that preamble language, I think the rules of the Ombudsman need to have similar preamble language,
Okay.
referencing both the charter and the ordinance 190323. I think both need to reference the ordinance as well.
Okay,
Because obviously the charter controls, the ordinance is under that, and then these rules are under that.
got you. Okay. It's not a problem. We'll include the preamble language to that. Anything else that anybody sees that we may need to modify this before we do the corrections or resend it out? I want to say thank you, Patrick, for being thorough.
Good job.
I have more to add, no, I'm just kidding. It can go on and on.
I mean,
There's a lot of different
pages,
things that
yeah.
it can include, down to the analyst, the investigator and all that. So I just want to have something for anybody, whoever is a buzz person, no matter who it is, to be able to, know what the process is. There is a process that program that they use on the computer that they have a certain period of time to input it into the computer. Once it goes into the computer, then there's a 90-day period. After that 90-day period, then they are behind the ball. So it's a lot of different other things that go along with it. That's not this. So.
All right, so we'll also table line item 2 under old business. We'll have the final copy, once the board looks at it and they like it and things of that nature. then we'll follow the exact same procedures that, our attorney Joe Cups has suggested that we follow, so that we can too be in right order and do what's right.
Yep.
Line item 3, discussion of current lawsuit, Doug Matthews versus the Ethics and Accountability Board. Joe, do we have an update on that?
No real update. As the board knows, Judge Piquel in the Genesee County Circuit Court made a decision, and I won't get into the substantive part of that, but Mr. Matthews essentially didn't like Judge Piquel's ruling. He appealed it to he sought leave to appeal to the Michigan Court of Appeals. The Ethics and Accountability Board, through Mr. Kendall Williams, filed a response. Mr. Matthews just recently filed his reply to that response. So at this point, I think it's fully just waiting on the Court of Appeals decision on whether they're going to take this interlocutory appeal.
Okay. Is that satisfactory for everybody?
Okay, Mr. Matthew, he didn't like the actions of,
He didn't like the rule.
Judge Piquel made a certain ruling, and
Okay.
Mr. Matthews disagreed with that ruling, and he sought leave to appeal. The Court of Appeals does not have to take it, that's why it's interlocutory, so
okay.
we're just waiting to see if they will take the appeal.
All right. Line item 4, under old business, so I just wanted to give everybody an update. I talked with Director Smith. He's been out, he had major back surgery in December. So, he's recuperating. I don't know, listen, 3 things: when your feet hurt, your back hurt, and your mouth hurt, you're
No
miserable.
good.
You're
Go
miserable.
ahead.
So, he was in recuperation at that time. I discussed with him that the board did take a vote and that we wanted to talk about the disqualification, why HR disqualified those other 18 applicants out of the total 24. Director Smith, we spoke on the phone, and he did direct me that he said that he is more than willing for the board, if the board wants to convene, and he said to go to, and to come to his office where he could be able to, because he has to do back some things, we'll be able to look at what disqualified each one of the 18 candidates, so that we would have a better, knowledge of why they did it.
Out of 24,
Out of 24, they
18
disqualified.
were disqualified.
Correct.
And so do we have a list of the basis of the disqualification?
No, they didn't give us a list.
And I thought we had decided we were gonna request that at the last meeting.
We did, and Mr. Smith, I think that's when Mr. Smith said that he would like to discuss that with the board in a closed setting, just for the simple fact from what he told me, that, with the other 18 members, because of sensitive information and things of that nature, he said he would rather not happen in an open meeting, but that would
I'm
happen.
fine with that, but I would still like a list
I
of the
agree.
reasons,
Right. Just a
whether
plain list,
it's
no names.
education, experience,
Mhm.
what is the basic disqualifying factor for all of these people?
And that's what he said he was going to discuss with us when we were when we would go and meet with him. I did ask him if he could send us a list.
So why don't we ask him to come to the next meeting and then we can go into a closed session?
I don't have a problem with that.
What is his name? The HR?
Mr. Smith?
Okay,
Ed Smith.
okay.
However the board wants to proceed, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I think we need to know that because when we start to set the interviews, there may be somebody in that stack that we wanna interview.
That's true.
And so, rather than piecemealing it, let's figure out who all we're gonna have interviews for, so we can have them all at once.
Okay.
So because he's in, out sick, that prolonged the, application.
Oh, he's not
process.
back yet.
No, he's back.
Oh, okay.
When I spoke with him, he was just getting back. But he's been out since December. I think he just got back maybe a week and a half ago.
And no one else in the office can cover for him?
I do not know policy and procedure for that department, under administration. I do not know.
But I just wondering, it doesn't stop what we doing.
Right.
So do we have a plan for interviews or?
I'll reach out to Director Smith. See if he can come to the next meeting. We can go into a closed session, especially if we get back to the sensitive information. Then he can go over the reasons why.
Each and every candidate, right?
Each one of the 18 candidates was disqualified. So that we can get a better idea on if we do see somebody there that we would like to still interview, we can. Because it could be minor and not even a major infraction. So that's something we definitely want to take into consideration. I don't have a problem with that. I'll send an email out. No, we have a secretary. Linda, do you have Mr. Smith's?
No, I don't.
Do you have Mr. Smith's email address?
Oh, no.
Okay, I will send you, Mr. Smith's email address, and if you could you please, send a, email to him asking Mr. Smith if he could please convene.
I'm gonna send an email and follow up with a call.
Please do. At our next meeting, which will be on March 11th,
Okay.
but let him know that we will be going into a closed session, because I understand about sensitive information when it comes to individuals.
Right.
And hopefully that should make him feel, a lot more comfortable in sharing that.
Okay. I'll make sure.
All right.
And I'll CC you, and should I CC?
Trishelle, CC the whole board.
Okay, all right.
CC the whole board. Just also want to let you know, line item 5, update on pay rate adjustment for the administrative assistant position. So I did talk to Director Smith about adjusting that position. They had it posted for $36,000. I told him that was too low. And especially when the other positions are paying at 42. I said that position should be equal, or if not more. Now, I understand they have to do I understand HR has to do their own analysis and their own, in the way that they go about finding the range. But once they find that range and they're able to go with that, we can give it to finance, and finance will update the pay rate for the administrative assistant position.
So he didn't disagree, but he wants to do his due diligence.
Yes, he didn't disagree with it, but he is doing his due diligence, and he's putting that out for market analysis.
What makes you think it's too low? Have you researched the position and what it should be?
Well, so for what I saw from the position as the administrative assistant, basically, the administrative assistant runs the office in absence of the ombudsman. When the ombudsman's not at lunch or is indisposed, the administrative assistant was running everything.
And they work alongside.
They do work, they work alongside the ombudsman, and they also help out the analysts when phone calls are coming in. It's more than just directing calls and things of that nature. It really is what an administrative assistant really does.
And just to look at $36,000, that's only $20 an hour.
No, not even, no, that's like 16 minutes of change.
16
That's like.
for a 40-hour week, right?
But what I'm saying is, have you looked at other administrative assistant positions?
I have.
And the salaries?
I have.
So that's where you're coming up with your number from?
That's where I'm coming up with my number from. So when I looked at the market analysis, they said the lowest that administrative assistant gets paid is $32,000. But when I looked at the median average, that median average was at 44. And so that's why I went to Director Smith and I said, I'm looking at the median average across the country. And it ranges, it goes as low as 32,000. It goes all the way up to like $80,000 for an administrative assistant. But the median range is 44. And so that's why I asked him to please conduct a better marketing analysis so that we can come up with a better number other than 36.
What is the budget being presented?
March.
Yeah, but-
Cause I mean, that's gonna, once the budget is
Mayor's budget presented to the council Monday.
Monday,
It's in
right?
March.
So, once that budget is passed and that rate is set, the likelihood that it's gonna change is slim to none.
Well,
We can argue that when we have our budgetary meetings. But as long as finance is aware of it, even, as long as HR, this is my thinking. If HR sends them the market analysis and said, yes, the position should be 44, when the financial secretary, when the board goes before city council and we're going over the budgetary hearings, the financial officer could say, HR did a market assessment, they agreed that, the salary should have increased to whatever the number it is. And I think we can argue it in our budgetary meetings, and I don't think that shouldn't be a problem.
Are we getting a budget, or are we still operating under non-budget?
From what I believe, we sent that to that vote.
We presented a budget for the board and, just, to the mayor.
But is he giving us one?
I don't know what you put in the budget, we won't know that till Monday.
Right.
Because we presented, don't mean this.
Right, but has there been any communication with the administration on what their intent is?
No, haven't heard anything like that.
And in the past, you talked about what is gonna happen. The mayor presents his budget, the council go through that budget. And they adjust that budget to the way they want to do it. They do not, they make their own budget, they can accept the mayor's budget, they can put in, take out, move, whatever they want. While I thought it was so important to get in the mayor's budget, if we got something in the mayor's budget, we still have got a chance of giving something to the council. Because the last two budgets, the mayor's budget was accepted as he presented it to the council.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty rare. Wow.
Well, but you got contract with the council.
Yeah.
And that's what, and
They learn
That's
how.
what happened.
they'll be able to do that, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is that with benefits, the 36,000 a year with benefits?
Yes, that's what benefits. Okay, let us move to line item 10, new business. Since we had already discussed that we want to look at the disqualified candidates before we set a date, let's table line item 1, for next meeting, once we've heard from, and we get the disqualifications and we're able to go through it, I think then we should be able to set a date.
Okay, and it will be done in March?
Yes.
Okay, because we have to give them so many days notice,
Correct.
the candidates too.
Right, to appear.
Okay, to appear.
So we're gonna table that for the next meeting. Line item 2, discussion of legal opinion from the city attorney. Yeah.
So, this is the opinion that reflected back on the board's vote to suspend or to escrow city council's pay. And the city attorney did some research, and nobody knew about what she pulled out of some notes back during when they were adopting the charter. And the notes that she found indicated that the provision that we relied on was only intended to be relied upon during the transition from the old charter to the new charter. And so, after talking with Kendall, he believes that it's an accurate interpretation, but we didn't know about it. Joe, I don't even think you knew about it because you didn't advise us. Obviously, if you knew about it, he would have advised us and we probably would have never done it in the first place. It's not referenced in the charter. And if we don't have those notes like she went back and looked at, it makes me want to second guess any of the provisions in the charter. So before we make a move again in the future, we're gonna need y'all to consult those notes, because we need to make sure that we on point with what we doing.
We understand
Yeah.
what you nowhere, I'm not saying the charter,
It ain't in the charter.
that it relates, we had to go back to something in the old charter. This charter, we can't work on two charters.
So it's not that you're working from two charters. She found a note that specifically addressed the provision that we relied on. And it made it very clear that the intent of those that were doing the changes in the new charter, they only wanted that provision to apply during the transition from the old charter to the new charter. There's no way we could have known that. None whatsoever. There's no reference in the new charter. There's nothing. Joanne went back and did some digging to find whatever she found.
Was she part of the charter commission?
Not, I'm sure she wasn't. But she found their notes. She has their notes, and it's attached to her opinion. Did y'all get the opinion?
I didn't get it, but.
Kendall sent it out to everybody.
Yeah.
All right,
Mr.
so
Williams,
so I could be, this charter
Mhm.
was put together, voted on by the citizens as this charter.
August
It was
2018.
it was did by it was checked from the state of Michigan that had to verify this charter. And I'm having a problem that when this board moved, somebody go back and say, we found something. When this charter does not say you can go back and do anything, it says this is what we work for. So I have a real problem with this.
I second that.
You got to go back stuff.
They can go there and move.
Well, and I have a problem with the way she did it as well. You know, I think professionally and respectfully, she should have came to the board, or to the board chair, and indicate, hey, I found this language, I think there's a concern with the escrow activity, let's talk about it. You know, but the way she issued the opinion without consulting, and then, you know, according to the chair, when he asked for the opinion, she wouldn't even provide him a copy of it.
Correct.
And, you know, what, how you gonna not provide the board chair with a copy of an opinion concerning the board action?
And I was, just to let you know, hold on, Mr. Just let everybody know. I found out about it through Facebook.
That's crazy.
I found out about this opinion through Facebook. So I wasn't even notified that she had even considered or found anything. And then when I called to speak with Joe, who is our attorney. She called me back. And I asked her, I said, so why would you blindside the board this action late on a Saturday?
Right.
It wasn't during business week. It wasn't during Monday through Friday during the normal operating hours of the city. This was on the weekend.
On Facebook.
No.
Okay.
She rendered her opinion
Okay.
on Saturday
And sent it to the council members.
and didn't even consider sending it to us,
Right.
the board. And I'll be honest with you. I will say this, I do find it disrespectful
I agree.
that you issue an opinion that curtails our power and authority that we clearly thought was laid out in this charter.
With the assistance of her office.
Yes. And that's what I have a problem for the total disrespect.
Mr. Chair,
How can they uphold that when a new charter was voted on, like what Mr. Cooley said? If I can understand this provision in between, but once this was voted on, that's just like somebody vote on something and then go back and change their vote or add to their vote. Come on.
Because it's clear.
Right.
It's clear in the charter.
Right, but, so the way the law is, the law always wants to respect, one, the plain letter of the law. So what it says in black and white is one thing.
Correct.
But they also look to the spirit or the intent of the drafters. And so when she found that note made it very clear that the drafters only intended the EAB to have that authority during that transition period. And so that's what she issued her opinion based on that.
now, yeah. At this point, where the chair of the charter commission had passed, but I know who the vice chair and I know who the attorney. I would think the board might wanna call them to come and speak to the board and see what that don't sound right. And they are vice chair of the charter commission, I know well, and I know the attorney that was the attorney for the charter commission. I would rather
you want a second opinion, basically.
But, well, they're the one that did the job. And I would rather contact them, let them come and speak, 'cause this doesn't sound, I mean, we're finding too many notes and statement and orders after the fact. This board sit and do things for months, work on things, and when we make a
And try to do it the right
decision,
way.
when we make a decision, then they come back with something that we never had in it. In a way, we can't go back and check it and make sure it's.
Not only that, but they also, once she issued the opinion, they immediately released the checks. So, you know, it was like,
Again, it's a slap in the face of this board and the action that it took. Because this is my problem. My problem is this. You basically took power from us to hold city council responsible. And I'm not talking about individuals, I'm talking about council as a whole. So, since the city attorney is not gonna hold you responsible, who else is gonna hold them responsible?
nobody.
And you just basically took our checking power to hold them responsible.
And why would that be in the current charter as if it's a standing ability and authority if it was only meant during the transition period?
Right.
Exactly.
This doesn't make
That's
sense.
It
my
doesn't.
point. How did it get into this?
And Mr. Larkin served on the charter commission
Yes,
as well.
he did, Mr. Larkin did, that's a good point.
And I don't think that was even in the old charter.
No, it
But
wasn't.
she would release her notice?
It's attached to the opinion.
Oh, okay.
All of y'all should have the opinion
I did.
and the attachment.
Who wrote the note for that?
Oh, I don't
Or was it,
remember.
You know,
I do not know.
you just first time getting it.
I saw the legal opinion issued by the city attorney on Monday morning, so I don't have much more.
So,
it gets
so,
better.
so I'm going to reiterate. So not only was this board disrespected, not only was the chair disrespected, but you even lacked proper protocol in letting our attorney who works for the board know about it.
Yeah.
So then my thing is this opinion could have waited until Monday. This opinion could have been waited on. And so, again, disrespectful. Blatant, and not blatant disrespect.
Chair, just to emphasize, it was authored by the city attorney. I do work for the city attorney, so she had every right, from my perspective, to issue a legal opinion.
Oh,
Let me
no,
ask you,
not
Joe,
overturned. Right,
did she
I agree
consult
with
you though? Did she even consult you before she issued this opinion?
At this point,
Yes or
I'm not
no?
gonna get into.
That's a no.
No?
So, you know, I talked to her after I talked to you. Because when you said she refused to issue you the
She
opinion,
did,
I shot out an email
you did.
and I said, send us the opinion. And how dare you not provide it to the chair? And she said,
Oh,
I
she-
never
she said-
refused to give it to the chair.
Exactly, and what I told her when I called her, I said, can you directly email me an opinion? Her response is, I'll send it to Kendall Williams. I said, she said, I'll send it to Kendall Williams. I said, okay. So when we had that conversation, I told you, I said, yes. She said that she would send the opinion to Kendall Williams. She would not send it to me.
And that's what she did. She sent it to Kendall Williams. So I believe every word you said.
Yes,
Who's this Joanne?
So I think in light of how this was handled, either the chair needs to have a conversation with the city attorney, or maybe we need to ask the city attorney to attend our next meeting
I think so.
and maybe go into a closed session for the purpose of discussing some unpublic business.
I agree with you. In fact, I'll put that to, does anybody want to put that in form of a motion?
So moved.
Support.
So I'll reiterate this motion. The motion is to send out a certified letter to the city attorney to attend our next meeting on March 11th, 2025, at 5:30 p.m. here in the Oak Business Center. I would usually call it Oak Park, but Oak
So,
Business
we've already have Mr. Smith coming at 5:30. I don't know that we wanna have both of them, because one of them will be waiting.
Center. So, question.
I think
Which
you
case?
should, you as the chair, should go have a conversation with her, and then report back to the board.
Oh, that's
I mean,
what
I'm not trying to put her on blast, but
Right.
I'm expecting a little more decorum in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, she should not be overturning no decision. If she have an opinion that, says otherwise, then she should let us know what that opinion is, so that we can
We could've
fix what we
fixed it, that's the exact point.
need, right? Just like with the ombudsman's position. Kim gave us an opinion, he let us know, and we had to go and fix the problem as we learned what was supposed to go on,
Gotcha.
as far as the law.
Okay.
But they did reach back in 2019 and say, we have an ordinance here, right?
We had issue with that.
You know what I'm saying?
They doing a whole lot of
The
reaching.
new charter said that the Ethics and Accountability Board have the right to, hire an ombudsperson. And they have no dialogue otherwise.
Right.
But it did say we had the authority. But then we found out that council put in place the job description and, what they call it,
Right. Okay, so,
Let me,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you know, was amazing to me, is like I was just a city attorney that haven't been there 3 months. Find something way back there like that. And when the charter was being put together, the city attorney would not even work with the charter commission. They would not even sit at the table with the charter commission, so how they get these notes,
I agree.
to me.
Okay, so then what I'll do is, I will just,
Why don't you have Joe set up a meeting for you and the city attorney?
I'll do that.
Would you be willing to do that, or you want him to call directly?
Joe
The request
speaks.
should probably come from the chair directly.
All right, I'll put it in writing, and I'll CC every board member on.
Okay,
I'll-
so you're gonna meet first before you invite her,
Yeah,
before
well,
the entire
So
board?
let me do, I'll meet with her first
Okay,
and see what it says. If I don't like what I heard, I will report back to the board and issue and.
You should report back whether you like it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, I'm gonna report back whether I like it or not, what her recommendation is. Really, I am. So,
Here, when you
Hey,
were
listen,
selected
I love how she running it right now.
charter commission attorney.
yes, I do.
Chair, I get that, I get you.
Please, Mr. Kenny, I do, I wanna hear those, I do wanna hear those who wrote and were part of the charter commission so that we can hear them, because they are the framers. And I would rather hear from the framers' intent while they're still alive than notes.
Right.
Just a couple of other points we need to discuss. Coming up with a committee for formulating our yearly report for the 2024 year.
okay.
Just real quickly, does anybody want to take up that responsibility?
I'll do that.
Okay,
Did you wanna do it, Mr. King?
Yeah. I work with you.
Okay.
okay. So that committee will be comprised of Vice Chair,
I'm writing it down.
Rochelle Young,
Trishelle Bowling.
Bowling.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
She on game point tonight,
Get
baby.
it right. She said, get it right. She married, get
Please,
it right.
forgive, please, I'm here now.
She said, get it right, get it right, Mrs. Bowling. Put some respect on her
Forgive me,
name.
Mrs. Bowling, I'm so sorry, please forgive me.
I was the only one that got checked in here.
And finally, on the new business, I just want to let everybody know that, Mr. Matthews' partner issued a FOIA request through the legal department and asked for specific, minutes for 2024. He wanted all recordings and things of that nature that we had on file, so, we gave them all of the minutes that we had. We didn't issue any kind of opinions throughout the 2024 year, just for the simple fact that if we were going to, it was already moving into litigation, so it tied our hand from issuing out any opinions. And I let them know that all recordings are online or on YouTube, and if there's any other recordings, it's independent of the recordings that the board had issued. And as you know, we had a contract with Paul, so Paul was recording. So I did let them know that if there's anything out there, that was from other people that were recording the minutes. And that's not our responsibility to get that to you.
Facts, pay for it.
All jobs on the
Yeah,
record.
if you
That
want it,
part.
you're gonna pay for it
You
though.
have to keep records.
And that was item number 4.
Real quickly, does anybody have any closing remarks?
No.
All right.
We didn't cover the
Move for adjournment?
So move.
Congratulations, did a great job.
We are adjourned
We are adjourned.
at 7:04.
We out, family, we out.
It don't take all that.
See y'all in the morning.
Move the button. All right, see y'all
Is
later.
that your
You have a
grandbaby?
blessed one.
Is that your grandbaby?
Yeah.